Welcome to Because It's Fun, a podcast about hobbies. I am your host, Connor Dempsey. I'm here to talk to people about what lights them up creatively. I'm here to talk to people about what helps them be their most authentic selves and express themselves most creatively, the thing that they want to do most in their free time, the thing that they would do for free if money were no object, their vocation, their calling, their hobby. We're here to talk about it, and I'm excited to share it with you. Hey everybody, welcome back to Because It's Fun, a podcast about hobbies. I hope you've been enjoying the show so far. It's been an interesting and fun and challenging experience to put out this podcast as opposed to the kind of work that I'm used to doing. I hope it's been entertaining and informative and validating for you to listen to. My final guest is Virginia Kinnier. Virginia and I have known each other probably the longest of all of these guests since preschool and all through elementary, middle, and high school. Virginia is actually kept in closer proximity than I realized until recently when I learned she was neighbors with my brother. Virginia popped back onto my radar in a big way when I began seeing her writing published in such places as Mobile Baykeeper, Garden and Gun, and Mobile Bay Monthly. You see, Virginia is one of the few people I know from childhood who writes, because I was used to meeting writers and people who love to write when I was in college, and those students were from all over. And I was the only kid from, I wasn't the only kid from Alabama in my class at SCAD, but I was the only one from Mobile. And so I just didn't consider it a common thing to be from Alabama and want to be a writer, even though that's silly because a lot of writers, a lot of famous writers, acclaimed writers come from the South and Alabama, you know, specifically Flannery O'Connor, Harper Lee, and Truman Capote. But I was young then. I didn't know any of that shit. But she's the only one who I know now who publishes regularly as a freelance writer, which if you know me that's going to grab my attention. I didn't realize until then that Virginia has been in love with writing probably longer than I have. I'm over here identifying strongly as a writer. I feel like it's who I am and what I'm good at and what I'm meant to do. I feel like I only stepped into that after college. She's over here having loved it and wanted to do it since she was a little kid. I feel like an amateur compared to her, and I told her as much when she agreed to do this show. She's the first person I solicited to be on this show. And I was as nervous about doing that as I would have been asking her out back in school, which would have been very nervous. Thankfully, she agreed, and I gave her the finale episode for a reason. I also thought it would be kind of a neat way to bookend the show, you know, because I was talking about writing in the first episode and her talking about writing for the final episode. It's not the longest episode, but we covered a lot of ground here. We talked about writing from an early age, good teachers, teachers who challenged you, how writing gives her purpose, and having an identity outside parenthood, and also the downsides of writing professionally, our recurring theme on this show of staying off social media. And we even get into the prospect of both of us, nonfiction writers, wanting to write fiction. I really enjoyed this interview. I think you will too. After we were finished, we probably talked for another hour off mic, which was just a pleasure. We recommended several books and writers to each other during this interview. Get your notepads out, make a list. Please enjoy my final guest. I don't know. Stick around to the end. Please enjoy Virginia Kinnier. Virginia, welcome to the show. You are my final guest.
Wow.
No pressure.
You.
What are you here to talk about tonight?
I don't know that everyone has time to kind of delve into a hobby, but I have been fortunate to keep my same hobby my entire life. So it's been an easier one to take with me than any other sport or anything I spent more time doing when I was younger. But so for me, it's writing.
Yes, this is fitting because the first episode of this show, I just decided to go ahead and monologue about my writing, as I thought was the best way to explain to people what this show was and just do a dry run on myself. One of the reasons you are the caboose here is because we'd be bringing it back to this, which is honestly like the subject I was thinking of when I thought of this show was because I'm obsessed with reading about writers and people talking about writing. Like I like reading their writing. I like reading and I like writing, but I like hearing writers talk about writing. That does it for me. It's apropos.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's a lot of really great books out there about writers and their creative process, and even just like how they actually sit down to write, because everyone does it different.
Yeah.
I do too. I like to hear how people go about writing, which is, maybe nerdy for people who like writing, but maybe other people are interested in it too.
I think writers are curious about if they are the only ones who find it difficult to find time to write. We know this isn't true, but it often feels like I'm the only writer with kids and I'm the only one who is having to work around that. And most writers like, no, you're not. We know that too. Some people have a word count. Some people just put the time in and wherever they are, they stop. When did you first become aware that you enjoyed writing?
This is going to sound annoying, but I really knew that I loved it as soon as I knew how to write. I was really fortunate to have some really great teachers as a child, especially at that like second grade level, that were really imaginative. And there was a really great emphasis on reading. We had this one teacher, Miss Ward. She would sit around, we read the Boxcar Children, and it was like this, almost like a field trip every time we read those stories together. I always remember doing this thing called bell time, where they would start a sentence on the board and we finish the story. I don't know. That was just huge for me. That year in general was huge for me in learning like how to write a story, storytelling, like the elements of a story. And it really just went on from there. I knew from then on that I loved it and that's what I would want to do. I got to high school and had another really good teacher who probably was the first person to actually like challenge me writing wise instead of compliment me. Again, I don't know how that comes across, but it was more just like, I think previously I was just using like word master words, like the biggest words I knew, I was writing with those.
Yeah.
She kind of was like, no. And I started getting C's on papers, and that had never happened to me before. And it was like, it was like this very pivotal moment where she like completely stripped down the way that I wrote and was like, you can do better than this. And it was really hard for me. Like that year was really hard for me. It's this subject that I'd always done well in. All of a sudden, I was being told that I was not writing well. And it really just flipped everything upside down for me. But it's Miss Robertson, she completely changed the way I wrote. And it was huge for me. I became like a much more authentic writer. I developed like my own voice. And we still keep up. I still write her like letters. If there's like something big that I publish, I let her know. So yeah. And then I went to Ole Miss and I did writing program in the Honors College. And that was another huge like step for me. We had really small classes. All the teachers were published authors or writers of some sort. So I could kind of see it in the flesh. Like, I don't know that I really knew any other writers before then. So yeah, that was a long answer to that.
No, this is a podcast. It's okay.
That is how it started and kept going.
What does it do for you? Like, does it help you organize thoughts? Does it help you get thoughts out of your head somewhere else?
More than anything, I think it gives me a purpose. Like it gives me something that's just mine. It's like this thing that, we're all given something, interests or talents or gifts of some sort. And for some reason that is mine. Being able to identify it and use it can be really fulfilling. Being a mother is the most fulfilling role I have in my life, but it also is really nice to have an identity outside of that.
Yes.
And it's probably necessary as well. So I'm really grateful for it because it gives me a different outlet a different avenue of like expressing myself. I am an idea person. I have ideas in my head a lot. Usually they are all related to writing of like a story idea or something like that. So I think that's probably just for me more just the fulfillment of knowing what I love to do and being able to do it is probably what it gives me the most.
And you can do it wherever you are too.
Right.
That's the best thing about it.
There's no environment or, it's like you can do it in your head. You don't even have to have pen and paper, computer, or anything. I mean, a lot of times I am writing in my head.
Yeah.
My husband thinks I have selective hearing, but no. I think that
you're just dropping out and you're just thinking.
I'm just like, I'm trying to work something out. Like if there was like a part I was stuck on, or like, it's hard for me if I get an idea to not, I'm like, I got to think about it right then.
I'm going to recommend a book to you. It's called, I don't know if you haven't read it already. It's called The Baby on the Fire Escape. And it's all about women throughout history who essentially had to, in a time where it was so much less tolerated by society and by men, to try to have an artistic vocation, many of them writers, and how they were made to feel villainous for trying to pursue an identity outside of motherhood, and how they attempted to balance it. And some did it better than others, but that's a story throughout history, not just in that book, but a ton of books. I identify 100% with the identity outside parenthood thing because I've got my own kids, and that's great. But if I were only their dad, there's something missing for me. And even just having the space to think is one thing, but like feeling like I've created something and like I've actually done something with a skill I perceive that I have is super important. It's almost a comfort to know like every artist, every writer throughout history, increasingly so in modern times, but to some degree, even in the beginning, had to balance that idea of I need my thing. And most of those people have been women who were shoved back into the home and didn't have the luxury of having a career in that thing. Even now, even if you do get to do it for a career, it's still a challenge to make the time for it.
Right. Yeah. And I think, I don't know if you feel the same way, but it can also, because it is a hobby and it's not like paying the bills, it can come with some guilt, should I be doing this with my time? Should I be with my kids instead? Should I be cleaning the house instead? Or, I'm not even making that much money doing this. Should I be spending time doing something else? And it's like, those feelings are going to crop up no matter what. So I try to kind of keep it away. But for sure.
I guarantee you, even if you were making millions of dollars writing, you'd still obsess about the time you're spending writing and not parenting. And not socializing and not spending time with your husband. Like that would be there no matter the figure,
Yes. You're right.
I'm kind of bearing the lead. You do publish, like you've written things that go places that are real on websites that people read. And so this was one of the reasons I was nervous about when you said yes to do this. I was like, crap, because we went to school together. So we've known each other a very long time. We both love to write, but I don't write on the level that you do. You publish things. This is coming with 0% patronizing. I'm very proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you. I do appreciate that.
When I saw that first thing you wrote, I was like, no way. And I read it and I was like, good for you. And I'm just happy for you.
I think you root for the people you grew up with.
Yeah.
It's just natural. Cause you were, talking about those teachers in second, you were there. You remember cell time and the box.
Well, I was in my own world. I had my own problems, but I'm interviewing you. You interview people, like how to interview people. I've been doing this like podcasting for a very long time, but this show is like the first time I've interviewed people, and it's really hard.
Majoring in journalism in college really prepared me for that, because I used to get so nervous when I would go to interview people, because a lot of times with writing, especially when you're writing for magazines, you're not always coming up with the story idea yourself. A lot of the times it's assigned, which is another reason why I have been fortunate enough to be published, is because I've been given story ideas from editors. It really is just like one foot in the door, and then it kind of goes from there as far as getting published. It is scary. I mean, it's scary to interview people, especially when you aren't that confident in the subject matter, or like you just feel like I write for Mobile Baykeeper. Sometimes I feel like a fish out of water in a lot of the interviews, because some of these people are so knowledgeable about conservation, and I don't have a background in that, but it's really just talking to people and learning how to observe and listen, and just getting them comfortable to where they just start to reveal like all the things about them that are those like really good pieces to put in a story.
Those tiny little personal details.
Yeah, that's what can be hard for me a lot of times, is like everything feels important. It's hard for me to chip chop, but that is where having no time, being a parent, has come in handy, because I can't be so precious about all the lines and everything, because I don't even have the time to like obsess over things. I just have to be efficient, and I have to be a little cutthroat.
Do you ever keep the first draft just for yourself?
I did. And that was like a Substack. Like I'm kind of like standing far from a distance from Substack, looking at it like I'm really interested in it.
Yeah.
And I think I might like it, but I'm just not sure yet. But that was something that I had thought of for Substack. Like so much of my stories and stuff don't actually go in the final draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, maybe it would be interesting to have like the full version on something like Substack, where you can go and like read the behind, like the real story of the interview and everything. But now I haven't really kept most of the draft, because I like to edit it in the interview notes. And so it just like gets smaller and smaller. That's what's hard writing for a publication. Like you don't always get to write about what you want to write about. Not all of your ideas get chosen. You really have to keep yourself out of it for the most part. Even your voice and your, some of your observations and like reactions and your experience, because you have to stay on brand, which is hard for me. I would say that's the hardest part for me of what I do now, freelancing, is like keeping myself out of it, but still feeling like it has me in it.
Yeah. It's from you. It's your perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's that whole new journalism movement that was, I don't even remember where it started. I'm surprised I even know the name of it. But like the idea that like write the story, but you use a lot of literary devices, and you can use I. Like you don't have to hide the fact that yes, I, the writer, was the one observing this story. Yeah. Like it's some big secret. And it feels more fun to write, and probably easier to get started, just not having to think about the things you can't do as you're writing the story.
Yeah. For sure. There's a writer, his name is Breck Pappas or Pappas. If he's going to hear this, I'm really sorry if I just butchered your last name, but I think he does an incredible job of that. I love all of his stories. He writes for Mobile Bay Monthly. He has managed to figure out how to do that really well.
When do you do this? Do you have kind of freedom of schedule, or is it just whenever? How does your life constrain you doing this?
Yeah. So we have 3 kids, 6, 4, and 11 months, and we have one on the way.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, catching up. So I stay home with them. So my schedule is just kind of their schedule.
Yeah.
Nap times are great, not always guaranteed. Usually it's a late night. I'll just pull a late night is when I'll do it. And interviews and stuff, I do what I can, like, get a babysitter. So that's another thing too. Like I get a lot of story options thrown at me, and it's so great. I kind of can become like a yes woman. I'm like, I usually will take it because it's exciting. I'm usually curious enough that I'm like, yeah, I think I would want to write about that. But you're getting like a babysitter. My husband helps as much as he can, but he works full time.
Sure.
So by the time you're paying babysitters and all that, it's more, you got to love it. You got to love it. I don't know. My kids might come home from school and play outside for a minute, and I might work on something then. It's just whenever. whenever I can. Writing, like you said, is convenient in that way. I can pretty much do it anywhere, which is great. Yeah, it's portable. And even if I'm not, like, I can still be working on it in my head, which is what I find so interesting when people are like, we'll pay you for how long it takes you to write it. And I'm like, what?
But that's all the time.
I do not know how to measure that.
That's the weirdest thing was sort of learning and realizing that like it's like 90% of the thing is thinking.
Right.
And it's not only conscious thinking, it's subconscious. It's like, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm gonna go for a walk. And then your brain closes all those loops that it does while you're resting or you're showering or you're sleeping. And you come back refreshed. And then like the last 10% is typing.
Yes. I think there's like this I think it's a Picasso story where he like, someone asked him to do that drawing and he hands it to him and they're like, this took you 3 minutes. And he's like, it took me my entire life. Yeah. And I feel that way about writing a lot. Someone will be like, can you write me something for this? And I might send it really quickly because I had the time to do it right then. And they're like, how did you do that so fast? Or like, it's not really like that. It's like been working on this forever, just like any other artist or musician or whatever.
You mentioned too, like with interviewing and having or not having experience or much experience in the area in which you're writing. I think that's one of the cool things about this particular vocation. It's one of the few where you just get better at it. There's not really a dip or like a cognitive like dulling as you even reach old age. You just get better at it. Just like how life kind of gets more interesting as you get older, at least I think, because the more you live and the more you observe, the more perspective you have, you kind of start to calm down about some things.
Yeah.
And like with time and all that perspective also just comes, oh, I've done stories like this before. I know how this works. And it's just the experience kind of smooths that nervousness down, or I would think it would. Because I think like you can't really, the only way I would feel like I wasn't a total fraud or like interviewing somebody about something would be if I were writing a book. And in the process of the book, I then learn after the fact what they were talking about and add my own thoughts. And by the time it's published, I don't look like an idiot. But during the interview, I'd feel like a complete fraud.
Right. I get imposter syndrome a lot in writing and in, every part of life. I think I just had to tell myself, like, sometimes it's better to not know a lot because then you ask the simpler questions that someone else might not ask. Everyone has a different way of looking at something. One person might do the interview the exact same person, but will walk away with a completely different story, which is really cool. Writing is so personal, what you hear and how you reflect on it and write about it. That's why it can be so hard for me to not input myself so much into like my experience of meeting this person or to take that part out. I do think sometimes it is the right way to go for certain stories. That's something I'm still working on. And like you said, the hope is to continue to get better with time. And I think like with each publication or editor or whoever that you work for, you learn a little bit more about writing and your own writing style. So I try to keep everything open and take on as many different things as I can, but it gets harder with all the kids.
Yeah. I wonder, do you ever reach a point where you're burned out with it a little bit? Do you just hit areas where you've got a lot of it going on at once? And
yeah. I think I hit that this fall. That comes in cycles, but yeah. I think this fall I really hit that because I was doing like a story a month and like sometimes it was 2 a month. It just got to be more of like a grind than me like working on it and enjoying it. I was just trying to meet these deadlines and there was just this like pressure to produce and I just wasn't in it as much. And so I've taken a little bit of a break. Like I haven't written anything in a couple weeks, but it's so weird. I think anytime I try to like step back or walk away from it, something happens where somebody reaches back out and they're like, was wondering if you could take on this story and it'll be something that like I would really have fun with. And that actually like happened today. One of my editors emailed me and was like, you haven't taken anything on in a couple months, but would you do this story? And I was like, actually, I would probably love to do that story. But yeah, I think it does come in cycles. I burn out for sure, especially if I do a lot in a row of like some heavy writing and heavy subject matter, not necessarily like emotionally heavy, but just like tougher stories for me to write for whatever reason, then I can really like, I probably need to find a way to do like something fun and light in between projects. That would like, just for me, like just things I do for myself.
That's where that Substack comes in.
Yeah, I know. And I've been so hesitant with it.
Just so you know, if you do that, I will read the shit out of it. I'd be so excited.
Thank you. I'm excited to know I will have one reader.
You'll have one, one guaranteed, but I'm sure many more will follow.
I would, I do think I'd like it. I like the concept. I like almost like email type vibe. I'm like, I think, and we talked about this. I've been like, stepping back from social media and stuff.
Yes.
I ran a blog for a while, like 6 years ago, that I created called Side Hustle.
Yes.
And so that was kind of my first foray into my own platform type thing. And I loved it. It was great. And I met a lot of wonderful people through it. And it gave me a lot of like creative freedom. But
I was a huge fan of that, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I really did like it. And I had to step away from that because I got really burnt out. It was a lot of, again, like pressure to create. I was also doing all the social media stuff and the blog stuff. And I don't really have background in that. And it was just too much. I'd love to do something that was just my own again, but not with so much pressure for content and stuff.
Yeah. Fewer deliverables and on your own terms.
Yes.
That's Substack can be that for you. I created mine specifically to impose deadlines on myself because nobody will pay me and give me deadlines. So I was like, okay, well, I'll be my own bad guy. But for you, like it can be absolutely be that thing where you're like, I need a break, but I don't want to stop writing.
Right.
It might be a nice little boost.
Yeah. And I think I really create the pressure for it. Like I'm like, no one else is asking me to do this or to do it a certain way.
Right.
I'm creating that pressure for myself for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, writers are great at that, I think, at imagining stakes that aren't real. The no social media thing, because this is something I struggle with. I detest social media and I'm all over it because I have a sickness. And part of that sickness is, well, I want to share this stuff somewhere. Yeah. I want to share my writing. I do have a Substack, but like, only the people that are on that email are on that email. They came there from somewhere else. They didn't just think of it and search my name. So how does that affect that part of writing where you do want to share and you do want to give it to an audience?
I don't know. That is where I'm kind of stuck right now too, because I also like to share what I've written. And usually if it's published, like the magazine or whichever place, they'll post it. So I'll share it from theirs. I don't even have a personal website. Like I need to have something to where I can like have a home for everything that I've written or that's been published or anything like that. Like I should have that like as a writer. I should have that by now, but
I just made one like 2 months ago, but for a long time I was like, I need my website and I just never did it.
I need to do it. And I think if I did have that, maybe I would feel a little more like grounded as far as not having anywhere to share anything. But I don't know, the social media stuff just gets so overwhelming. And especially as a parent, sharing like every breath that your child takes. And then, I've got to post the Christmas pictures and it just is a time suck. And then I'm looking at so-and-so's grandmother's aunt's dogs pictures. And it's just like, what am I doing? I don't even know who any of these people are.
It's the anti-writing.
I'm wasting time. I'm like, I could be doing anything else. Around Christmas time, it's like now you get targeted with all these ads to buy all these things. And I just got in this like consumer mindset, like, I need to buy this, need to buy this. And I was like, this is just crazy. So I had Facebook and Instagram. I didn't have anything else, but I got rid of those. And every now and then, like someone will be like, oh my gosh, you have to go look at this. And I'll go look at it or something. So every now and then I'll go back and turn it back on and look at it. But for the most part, no, I don't miss it at all. I wish I had another way to share what I write. And I've thought about just making like a writing specific Instagram or something.
Yeah.
But I don't even like, I just feel like that I'm just going to dive right back.
I thought of the same thing. My next thought was, well, this isn't going to take the algorithm away, and it's not going to take things that are pushed at me away.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is, because I do think you should share what you write. And I think that's important. Well, and it gives people a way to connect with what you're doing.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, people will have already heard Alden Ward on this show. It's funny that you mentioned his mom, because he did this show as well. And we talked about social media a little bit. What we hit on was, sadly, the answer seems to be discipline. And that's not what any of us want to hear, because the only way to really get value out of social media without falling victim to its whirlpool is to get on it, post something, and then close it. And that's it. Right. It's like, almost do it with your eyes shut. My stuff is all on my browsers. It helps some. I just make it a very quick thing. I treat it almost like I can only use it if I'm holding my breath. You know what I mean? Like, just enough to, because I cut promos for the podcasts I make and stuff. So like, I'm putting stuff on there. Don't want to do it for my phone. That's complicated. I don't want the app on my phone. So I have this whole scheduled process out, but I still have to manually do it when I do it. And so I just open all the tabs and I'm like, okay. And I just go. And then when it's done, I'm like, okay. And I shut them all. That seems to be the only way that it can conceivably work. I hate that I'm giving this advice. It comes down to just use it for the one thing and literally don't look at it. Like,
right.
And that's it. Like, don't put it on your phone. Like, keep your logins, keep your browser, literally, like, just close it and do something else.
Yeah. I deleted like the apps off my phone. Obviously that helps.
Those definitely aren't necessary.
No, they're not. And I don't like travel around with my computer. So there's an answer somewhere, and the discipline thing sounds right. And also I'm already pushing it away because just the word.
Yes.
I'll be interested to see if I do get on Substack, like how that works, or if that starts to feel like another form of social media. I love a writing community. I love feedback. I love people being like, I read this, I connected. I love the engagement. Like, it's great and it's encouraging and it's really nice. Like, usually, I don't know if you're this way, but if I write anything, the second I'm done with it, I have like the ick about it. Like, I can't read it again. I can't.
Really?
People, like, look back over this. I'm like, I can't. It's gone at this point. Yeah.
I might be a narcissist then, because whenever people, when I get a thing that's like, someone liked your newsletter, I'm like, which newsletter? And like, I go look at it and I'm like, I'm going to read this real quick and make sure that I know what they liked. Because now I'm curious, what was it about this thing? And I can stomach my own writing.
That's great to know. That's great to know what someone like connected with. But I get weirded out after I've written something and I just can't, it's gone. I can't go back to it.
Every app wants to be a social media alternative or another social media network. YouTube has been doing this for years. Go to the homepage and half the things aren't videos. It's just a long post. I'm like, what is this? And like, it's now referred to as a social media network. I was like, no, it isn't. This is YouTube. I'm old enough to know what YouTube began as. This was just a video thing. And now it's a whole thing. Substack has some of that functionality too. There is like a feed, but it is still tailored to, okay, but this is Substack. This isn't going to be the same thing as Facebook. It's just people sharing these things. But I don't use the Substack app. I do everything on the browser. And so I just get emailed if people like something or if they comment on something. And then I might go read that because it's like, usually because I know the person who commented. And so I know it's not going to be shitty and bad. I'll go look at that. And so that's how I get that engagement and that feedback. But it doesn't go further than that for me. My bookmark for Substack is literally just my unpublished drafts. And I can see the bell. I can see everything I need to see. I don't have to navigate to any home screen or feed or whatever. I don't use it as social media at all.
Hey, you're telling me.
You should. I want to read what you're writing, and so if you getting on Substack makes that happen, then I'm gonna say whatever necessary.
I would love to. I think it would probably be good for me right now.
There's also something mysterious about being that writer who does not publish on a set schedule, because then everyone's just like, oh my God, what's she writing?
Yeah,
you know.
I would love to have people just wondering what I was going to write. Right now, it would probably just be a lot of like focus on the everyday, which is kind of like what I was thinking it could be anyway. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it might become.
What is your normal when you're writing for a magazine or a website? What is your typical turnaround time from the moment the thing's assigned to you to when final draft?
It really depends. They might call me and say, we have this story idea for today. The call I got was for a story for a May issue. So that was a pretty great heads up. I mean, I've got probably till close to the end of April to get interview done. It's not always that quick. Like Mobile Baykeeper, which I also write for, is quarterly. So I usually have a pretty good heads up, more time for those. But Mobile Bay monthlies every month. Those can be really quick. And sometimes they might call and be like, it's really last minute. We've got 2 extra pages. So sometimes it's not a lot at all. Sometimes it is. It just depends.
What's the shortest it's ever been?
Oh gosh.
Like a week?
Yeah. Like a week.
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah. Sometimes it can just work. I don't know. I think you just make it work.
This goes for writing for sure, but usually people talk about it in terms of money and productivity, where inevitably, however much of it you have fills the space that's left for it. If you, one of the arguments for like the 40-hour work week, people think their jobs take that much time because that's how much time they have to do their jobs. But if you said now your workday is 6 hours, statistically people get the same amount of work done in 6 hours. It's not the actual time it takes. It's just the time available. And everything fills the space, the container it's given. And so I wonder if it's just, you have a week to do the story and that's just what it is. And you have to make it happen.
I think so. I think you're absolutely, I've never heard that I'll do before, but yes, that is right. I am a really big procrastinator, which does not help. I'm a last minute. I'll work in my head for a long time. Yeah. And then finally, when it is at the 9th hour, I'll get it done. But, I'll mope and groan. I don't have enough time to do this. And my husband's always like, you get it done every time. So this is nothing new. You're just doing it last minute again. But that's kind of how I've always worked. Even when I was in school for to study for something, it was always last minute.
Same.
I don't know if it's I don't know what that is.
You need that external to tell you, hey, it's time to focus and be an adult and get this done. And and your brain until then is like, I've got time, Yeah. And I think once that works enough times, you actually gain the confidence of, well, this does work. Because that's how I wrote in school. The same way. I didn't write drafts of things. I just gathered all my stuff and maybe wrote some notes, and I would write the entire paper in one sitting. It doesn't matter how long it took. I just sat down and wrote for 6 hours and got it done. The editing, everything. I didn't eat or whatever. It's only in the past couple of years where I'm like, well, that sounds terrible. And I have actually begun writing drafts, which is new for me, but and it's hard for me, but I also know that I can't write the way I did when I was in college because I am too old. I can't do it.
Right.
I can do it. That's the scary part.
When would you ever have 6 hours?
Right.
You're never going to have 6 hours.
That's the art monster part. Have you ever heard that term, art monster? Like, that's the part where it's like, I could dive much deeper into my chosen art form, but I would neglect everything else in my life, my kids, my house, my job, all of it. I have it in me to do this for much longer stretches, but I'd be a terrible person. And like, for me, this isn't even my job. So it's like, why would I do it? You know, and part of me, I think I have like a quote unquote professional pride in that I'm trying to do it a different way. Like I'm not relying on the one way I know I can write. I'm trying to do it other sustainable ways.
Yeah.
When they give you like a page, like they say they have 2 pages, I would think that that's hard to write to a specific, to say like, okay, here's your word count roughly, and here's how many pages you have. I'd be like, oh my God, that sounds hard.
It's almost like once you do it a lot though, you start to like almost be able to see. Yeah. Like I always tell people that I think like so much of writing is like almost like architecture in a way. It's like you're like fitting in these, especially magazine writing, because you're putting them in different places. But obviously I don't do any of the layout stuff now. In college studying that part, like there's so much more visually to it, so much more visual to it than like just the words. But I'm almost like, so much of what I write is usually 2,000 words. That's always like the word count that they give me, unless it's a lot smaller than, 1,500 or so. But I had like my first published story was before I started writing for Mobile Bay Monthly or Mobile Baykeeper. I just like cold emailed a story, a personal story I had written to Garden and Gun, and not expecting in a million years that they would, number one, respond. Yeah. Number two, say, oh, we like it. We want to do something with it. But it was a 4,000 word story. Wow. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, they must have been like, oh my God, that's way too long. We like it, but we need you to cut it in half. And we need you to do it by, I had like 4 days or something to cut it in half. And it was the story that I'd written for probably like close to 2 years. I'd been writing and rewriting it and editing it. I have not done this in years, but I used to get up at 5, do 20 minutes. I think this is like the 5 a.m. club. I don't even think I read that book, but for some reason I adopted the policies. But I would get up and, exercise for 20 minutes and then do like some like devotional type reading for 20 minutes and then 20 minutes of writing. And within that year or so, I wrote that story just in those 20 minutes every morning. So it was like a gut punch when she was like, we need you to cut it in half.
Get rid of half of it.
But I was like, for them, I would do whatever. Yeah. What needed to be done.
I'll change the ending if you like.
Yes. I was like, whatever y'all want me to do. It is weird working within a word count. It can be really frustrating. I even still struggle, which sounds so vain, but with like edits that come back from the editorial team at magazines, and they are like probably 99% of the time right. Yeah. But there's something in me each time, like because writing is so personal, when it comes back, I have to like remind myself 100 times, like they're looking at it from a different viewpoint. There's a reason for these edits, but it's hard to work within a word count. It's hard.
You mentioned not being able to put yourself in the stories can make it kind of hard to write the kind of story you'd want to write. Money, no object. What do you want to write? What's your dream version of this?
Oh God. I really think for my whole life, I thought I wanted, like ever since I was a little girl, I just wanted to write books. I wanted that just be what I did every single day, give a reader that feeling that I have and that I've always had when I'm reading a book that I love. Yeah. But I really don't write fiction. So I don't know. That vision is still there. Yeah. And every now and then I will, for fun, like write some sort of fiction. But even like my senior thesis in college was creative nonfiction. I mean, nonfiction is really what I write. I would love to have the time to, again, I can find the time, but to explore that other side, like a fiction side, and see where that could go. More of like what I've written, if anyone engages with it, it almost always has a more personal side to it. Like the story I wrote for Garden and Gun was about the birth of our second child,
right,
in a hurricane. And then like some of the pieces that I've written for Mobile Bay Monthly, like the ones that seem to have the most response are always ones that I wrote like from a more personal level.
Yeah.
I really am interested to see where something like the Substack platform would take me, where I had more creative freedom and I just didn't care and I could really just go for it. And it wasn't for a specific audience. It was just for me to write. So I don't know. The dream version is to write, just to keep writing and be able to, contribute financially would be amazing. For it to get to that point. I think just to keep doing it is really the goal.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said, that's the good news, is just like you're only going to get better at it as time goes on. And
I hope so.
And you'll become more decisive. I mean, one day, like I keep telling myself, like one day my kids are going to be out of the house, and like I'm going to do it just as a coping mechanism. I'm going to have all this time, and I'm also going to feel all this guilt. And I'm just, the only way that I'm going to be able to deal with it is to write something. Well, let me tell you something that I did. I'm trying not to bring this back to me, but this might help push you a little bit in that direction, at least in terms of positive reinforcement. So when I had that, I went to college for film and television. And so like I was trained to write fiction, to write characters. My screenplays were all good. I don't have that gift that some people have. So when I was like trying to think of what I was going to write, I knew I wanted to write fiction, but I knew that I did not like the screenplay format. So I wanted to write prose, so books, but I needed the writing practice. What can I turn on a deadline? Not fiction. And so I steered into sort of the personal nonfiction. The essays that I write are generally just from stuff that I'm dealing with. And then I'm trying to find a bigger bag of information that makes that problem I'm having worth writing about and finding my way out of it. And so that's what my Substack is. When I got that masterclass and I went through all those fiction authors, I took notes. I took notes like I was in class, put them in a Google Doc. I had ideas for stuff here and there for stories, and just none of them seemed to make sense or have legs on their own. I'm very critical of story structure. And so that means that I can't ever write anything because I know exactly how to poke a hole in it. It's wonderful. But I was like a few months ago, I was out of town and I had 3 hours to myself. And so I was trying to write I was getting stuff together, write a newsletter, but then I found my way into the masterclass notes and the story ideas notes I'd had, saw 3 of them that became one thing. And I thought of a character. And so I was like, well, what's this? And so I followed that. And so I started thinking about his parents and where and why and why does that make any sense? And at the end of 3 hours, I thought of a whole series, and now I'm doing that, which was shocking to me because I was like, I don't do this.
Yeah.
And I just happened to stumble upon an idea that I felt was good and that I hadn't seen befit. And I have the presence of mind to know, oh, well, that's a reason to do it because so now I have to go do it and it will take years. But the point of all that is to say that I don't write fiction either. And then I thought of something and now I have something I want to write that's completely made up. So
and I think I don't know what may have opened your brain to accepting an idea. I think that I think sometimes we're not in a place where we're receptive to ideas. Our brain for some reason is shut off from any incoming, whatever you want to call it. Some people might think it's a divine drop off, some sort of idea. It can feel like that sometimes for sure. I think that's such a big thing for me is just the hardest part is getting out of my own way most of the time.
I think we're so critical that we immediately judge our own ideas as somehow inadequate. Because it's, at least my brain says, well, of course you think it's good because it's your idea, but people may not think it's good. And so I just began to obey that voice in advance, where I'd think of something and go, that's probably stupid though.
Yeah.
And not pursue it. I do get the satisfaction of writing on Substack and turning something, just having it be low stakes and personal. That does it for me. Mm-hmm. That other thing is a big mountain I want to climb and I want to accomplish. That's obviously a long-term goal. Yeah, you're right. The dream is just to keep doing it. As long as you keep doing it, I will read it. If you start the Substack, I'll read it. If you write a book, I'll buy it. I'll buy the hardback too. I'll buy the expensive version.
Yeah, well, I will sign it.
Oh, please.
That ever comes to it.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
A few people that we went to school with have written books around here.
Yes, they have. Very impressive.
Yeah.
I am so proud of them for sure.
We need to get up there and join their ranks. I think no matter, if it's fiction or not, like I think that just based on your writing, like you could easily pursue like several nonfiction books just by virtue of your strength as a writer and your ability to handle that kind of material, or whatever.
Thank you.
A book, you could publish a book of essays, that's all of those personal stories.
Yeah. And there really are, like, that's it. Writing has so many avenues that you can go with it, which is really great too. And I think too, like, I know you threw a book suggestion at me, so I'm going to throw one back at you. Okay. Have you ever read Julia Cameron, The Creative Way?
No, I have not read
now
The Creative
I'm blanking
Way.
If that is what it's called. It's like a creative process book more, but it's like a 12-week thing. You write morning pages, 3 pages, like you just let your brain loose for 3 pages. You never look at it until the end of the 12 weeks. And then you go back through and you like highlight patterns and ideas. And I've probably done it like 3 or 4 times. I've never not come out of it with like a great idea.
Really?
Yes, I think, and I like am a broken record talking about this book, and I don't even know how I found it or who told me about it. I can't remember now, so I could give them credit.
The Artist's Way?
That's it. The Artist's Way.
There it is.
Yes.
Okay, I've got it.
It's not just for writers. She like wrote this book on the process, and then she started teaching the process. I think she lives in New York or something, but anyways, it's a great tool to turn to when you're in a rut. I was literally last night just thinking, I probably need to read that again. I've been writing, but I haven't been like creating, like you said, like having any sort of like idea epiphany of any sort lately. I've been in sort of a rut in those terms. Now
that I have your email, you're going to get a big list of book recommendations from me because I've got...
Love it.
Oh, I mean, there's one right back there on that shelf called Before and After the Book Deal by a writer named Courtney Mom. You read it and like it makes you want to write something. Like it's that, it's business. Like it's like timeline of writing books, but it's also working with publishers and what that's like and all the stuff that you're curious about. If you've ever considered writing a book professionally, like it closes that loop. But there's a ton of, I love process books. I'm reading one. I just started one now. There's a history writer named Robert Caro who writes all these gigantic doorstopper. I think he has like a 4-part series on Lyndon Johnson that like he's writing the 5th one for now, but it's like thousands of pages, like gigantic books. And he's like, I figured I'd put out a book about like writing. Great. And so I'm reading it. Stephen King has that book on writing. Yeah,
I have that one.
Which is great. There's that Rick Rubin book, The Creative Act. He put out a couple of years ago. That one is weird because he's like a music producer,
Okay, I was about to say, I think I have that.
Yeah, it's the one with like the target. It looks like a target dot on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one's really like woo woo. Like half of it is just, you're like, what? Like you're reading it and he's talking in such nebulous terms about where ideas go and come from that you're like, but you understand it. It's a weird thing. Like he found a way to actually write what that feels like. So I'll be reading it like, I'm not sure what this is. And I finish a chapter. I'm like, I know exactly what he's talking about. So, but
I'll have to read it.
Books about process are great.
Yeah. I think so too.
I'll give you a gigantic list that
Me too.
Yeah. Virginia, that's the whole show.
Okay.
I'm really glad that you said yes to doing this.
Me too. That was great.
I'm glad I didn't chicken out.
Me too. It's hard to see yourself as an interesting subject for a podcast, but that was really fun.
No, you are. You may have been the first person I directly asked. Like I sort of solicited interest from people and then I'd follow up with them. But I think you're the first person that I was like, go find that person because I wanted to talk to you the most. So,
well, I'm honored. I am very honored. That was fun. And I think you should keep doing this.
And that's the show. Thank you for listening to Because It's Fun, a podcast about hobbies. To answer her final comment, if I keep having guests like this, maybe I will do more. So stay tuned. For now, it's time to hang up the hobby podcast microphone and get back in my lane with talking about movies. Until next time, everybody, cheers. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. And maybe we'll see each other again. Toodles!